All right, everybody, welcome. We got a good one for you today. We're going to go ahead and give a few minutes for everybody to start popping in the room. Miss Michelle is in the back putting on the final touches of her looks, and she'll be with us a little bit later, probably just a few more minutes. But tonight we're going to talk about survival gardening, what everybody needs to be growing in order to have a survival garden to help subsidize themselves through any kind of pandemic or crisis or whatever comes about that we're not expecting. Basically, a life changing event. So, if you have a life changing event that you're not expecting, what are you going to do for food? How are you going to get your food? One, hopefully, you have gas to go to town and get food because normally gas lines are out the door. We've had hurricanes in the area, and whenever there's a hurricane like Katrina, I know people will go 100 miles just to go get some gas to bring back and put in their generators. Hey, Miss Carolyn, David the Good. It's survival gardening. It's your subject. I actually thought that if you were going to pop in here, I would send you a link and we could tag team this uh, since you're an expert on the whole subject. And on a side note, David, I was scrolling through YouTube today on survival gardening and found another channel with some guy that looks just like you. I believe it is you from your older channel. And I think I remember you saying that you had an older channel out there. Good content. I watched a couple of your videos, but they're a few years old. Hey, Jennifer, how you doing? Yes, survival gardening. And I'm not going to be repeating everything that I've heard as far as what other channels are saying for survival gardening. I'm just going to be echoing a few things and a few of the same things and touching on some of the same type of points. Appreciate you everybody jumping in here tonight. We're going to give it a few more minutes before we get into the content. If I played the guitar, maybe I'd sing you a song, but I don't. So you're just going to get me rambling for a few minutes. But glad to have you. Oh yeah, David, congratulations on your new book. That's great. So if you're watching this on rewind at a later date, we're going to be getting into the content in just a few minutes. So what's going on in the garden? We'll talk about the garden while we're waiting everybody to pop into the room. Last weekend, we had the end of a drought. We had rains come last Saturday, not this past Saturday, but Saturday before. And I was pulling out all the old vegetables I had, finishing up from the spring harvest. So we pulled out rutabagas and chopped them up and put them in the freezer. We got rid of all the broccoli that we had. I've saved one broccoli plant. I'm going to try to save seeds off of that hybrid broccoli. We're going to try to develop some type of land race broccoli that we can continue to save seeds on. I was really happy with how those broccoli performed, and I got my sets in Atmore at the local feed store up there, and every time I buy my broccoli from them, I just have the best plants. But whenever I plant my own from seed, the heirloom varieties, Watham 29, they don't seem to perform well. And I did a side-by-side comparison this year, a bed of the sets that I bought, the hybrid varieties, and I did a bed of the Watham 29 heirloom varieties. And I'm not even sure that we even harvested anything off the heirloom varieties. They were just so sporadically spaced heads. They just really didn't turn out. So we're only going to go with the heirlooms. And speaking of heirloom versus hybrid, there's something else I'm going to update everybody on, and that's my tomatoes. So this year I went with all heirloom variety of tomatoes. I went on Baker Creek, and I was like, I'm going to get the Kellogg Breakfast. I'm going to get the yellow Brandywine. I'm going with some type of Sart Louise and a black beauty, and I got Amish paste for canning. And I have to say that I am underwhelmed with my heirloom tomatoes this year. I got nice tall plants. I have an Italian tree tomato that's probably 7 foot tall, and I've got it trimmed up on a string trellis, and it's doing great. It's probably the best plant I got. But none of the heirlooms have loaded up with tomatoes. And in the past, I've always planted Celebrity, which is a hybrid. And they always load down with nice, perfectly globe-shaped tomatoes. And the flavor probably isn't on par with the heirlooms, but at least we were getting good amount of tomatoes that we can put into cans. So I went 2 days ago on Seed and Such, and I ordered 3 new varieties of heirlooms that is highly disease resistant, because being in our location down here in the South, those things have just been attacked left and right with all kinds of wilt and black spots. And now some of my tomatoes up at the very top are starting to go top down with some type of wilt, and I'm going to end up having to pull them out real soon. But we're going to try to do another crop of tomatoes. But on to other things in the garden. The corn, I planted the Ohio blue corn, and it is about 8 foot tall right now. It's tousled out. It's got ears developing, and the silks just started showing this past week. And I'm really happy with how the Ohio blue has performed. And we're going to plant some more of that blue corn, and we're going to be grinding that into flour so that we can use that for cooking. So flour and grits and cornmeal. All right, let's see if I can read some of the comments here. Where's that hot lady that normally co-hosts? Oh, she's en route. She's in the back putting on her hot lady gear. Hey, Jessica, glad to have you. %% of the tomatoes this year are volunteer in Everglades. I'd love to have some of those Everglades tomatoes. Michelle is in the back. She'll be here in a minute. I'm probably going to have to yell out to her. Everybody's asking for you, Michelle. Yeah. Now, we had a Kellogg's Breakfast was our very first tomato off the vine this year. So nice big yellow tomato. We sliced it up, made a BLT out of it. Nice meaty. There wasn't a lot of gelatin in it. And I'm very happy with the quality of the tomatoes. They're really, really good, but they don't load up. I don't get, just loads of tomatoes off of the old heirlooms. Yeah, I missed your premiere today too, David. I saw that airing, and I was going to take time to do it, but I got caught up with everything going on around the house. Hello from Tennessee. Hey, Nancy. Glad to have everybody. Okay, we're about 8 minutes into it, even though we're waiting on Michelle. We'll go ahead and get started. With upcoming shortages in fertilizer, grains, food, you've probably already noticed when you go to the grocery store, if you have a selection of wheat products, you have a lot less of a selection than what you used to. So we're already into a drawback of availabilities of food. And like I've said in previous videos, that when you go to the store and you look at everything that's on the shelf, it's either wheat or corn or soy. And then there's also a lot of rice that's out there. And that's a lot of what everybody has been eating. So back in the wartime, whenever food shortages were happening, everybody was encouraged to grow a victory garden. And you can Google and go on there and you can find layouts of people's suggested victory gardens, what they're doing to grow their own food. Now, point number one is we're going to go over some items to consider for you to grow a survival garden on to help subsidize yourself through through this drawback in food supply that we're going to be facing. Lost my train of thought. So we'll go ahead and get on to it. But corn is probably one of the number one things we have really stepped up this year is the amount of corn that we are growing. It's not sweet corn. You don't want to grow a lot of sweet corn to try to sustain yourself on sweet corn. For one, it's not very versatile. You can't do a lot of stuff with sweet corn, but you need to be growing dent corn if you're living in the southern region of the United States, or if you're only living in the northern region, flint corn. And the reason you want to be growing those products is because you can grind those into meals, flours, and grits. And that's one of the things I was just saying about giving an update on how my Ohio blue corn was doing. And the reason we're growing out the blue corn is because the extra anthocyanins that you get with the blue corn instead of the white corn. So we're going to be growing out everything that we got now. We're going to be sampling. We're going to be taking to a mill somewhere, or we're going to be buying a mill a little bit later. But we're going to be grinding all that into grits and flours, cornmeals. But we're also going to be saving a lot of those seeds off of this crop, and we're going to replant. Now, I already went into the refrigerator, and I had some old heirloom corn that was given to me by my next door neighbor's son. The corn had been passed down throughout his family for over 50 years. He gave those seeds to me back in 2016. It was written on the package. It kept them in a vacuum sealed bag, not under vacuum pressure, just sealed. And I kept them in the freezer. So I was really skeptical whether those things were going to grow or not. So we took them out. We cleared a bed last Saturday, not this past Saturday, but Saturday before last. And threw in a bunch of chicken dirt on the beds. And we put those seeds in the ground. And I probably, in my bed that I grow in, is probably equivalent to a 30-foot row. And every one of the seeds, I believe, has come up. I don't have any skips where I'm growing. So one, I was really shocked, but then I wasn't really all that surprised because I heard that seeds, if you keep them in the freezer, you can keep them for an extended amount of time. And so I have a lot of my seed storage that I've kept in the freezer. But that old heritage corn was a very light yellow. I'm not sure if it's considered yellow. It may be even considered a white dent corn. But we've got some of that growing. So our purple corn will be finishing up in the next couple of weeks, drying those out. And then we're going to move on, and we're going to plant another crop of corn right behind that. And we're going to grow out some more of the blue corn. And hopefully that is something that we can get several pounds of cornmeal out of when we have that ground up. And then that way we can have our own supply of cornmeal that we can cook with. So I'm really excited about that. But corn is definitely one of those things that everybody needs to be growing in their victory gardens to help get them through the upcoming food shortages that we're having. Now, I'm talking about backyard level. I'm not talking about if you live out on a homestead and you have 20 acres and you can go out and rip up an acre to 2 acres and plant everything that you need to sustain yourself. I'm talking about your typical person that lives in suburbia America that has a little quarter-acre yard that they can grow some type of foods on. They can do this type of stuff. You can plant a little bed of corn and probably be able to grind enough corn to supplement you, but do as much as you can. If you live in a southern region like we do, you can get multiple plantings in. And where we're at, you could probably almost get 3 plantings of succession planted corn and do all right with that. Now, Another reason you want to grow corn is if you do live on a homestead, you have a little bit of acreage, you have some farm animals, you can start growing a little patch of corn. Now I'm talking about just a bed of corn for raising livestock and chickens. But if you have a few chickens, you're going to need to subsidize them. Now they can get out and they can free range. They can eat your garden scraps, but you're going to need to give them a protein boost in order to maintain their egg production. Your typical chicken feed is a 16% protein ration. I've not had very good luck with a 16%. They will produce eggs, but they're not as good as the 22% layer that I feed my chickens. So if you have a few chickens in your backyard, plant um, plant a nice big row of corn where you can harvest a few sacks of corn to give to your chickens to subsidize and for egg production. So even the people who live in cities, most municipalities allow for a couple of laying chickens. And as long as you don't have the rooster disturbing everybody, they usually don't fuss about chickens in the backyard. So you can do gardening. You can feed those to your chickens. They can go ahead, baby. Pull up a chair.
Yeah, I was hoping it was already pulled up. I don't want anybody to see my body.
Oh, well, hold on one second, everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody's been asking about you.
Oh, that's funny.
But if you live in a suburbia America and you have a little bit of land, you can keep a couple of chickens to feed your garden waste to,
Now I
and
need
to
a
feed
pillow.
some extra corn to increase your egg production. So yeah, corn. Corn is a staple that will help sustain you through any kind of food shortages. Now, before we move on to the next one, I want to see if I can address some comments.
Okay, no silence.
I know you can ramble, and I'm going to
So
read.
hey, how is everybody? Sorry I'm late. Late to the party.
Yes, Carol,
Unfashionably late.
everybody needs to be growing a victory garden. And actually, during the World Wars, when everybody was growing the victory gardens, they figured that 90% of the Americans were getting most of their vegetables from their own backyards. And I think that's something that we need as a nation to move back to and reconsider.
Anna said, better late than never. Yep, I agree. Hey, Jennifer.
My heirloom corn,
Carolyn.
Carolyn, is really looking good. It was just a few days later after I planted it. We had some nice long rains. It jumped out of the ground. It's probably in just almost 2 weeks now. It's about this tall. It's time to heal up and put another round of nitrogen rich fertilizer to them. So yeah, the corn's looking really good.
What else is going on out there? Tater. Hey, Jessica.
How do we dry the corn? Most of the drying of the corn is done on the stalk. You let the stalks die, and then the ears of the corn will they'll dry out also. So whenever their husks are starting to turn brown, and you can, if you know you're going to have a long rain coming up, and you don't want that to get soggy and wet, you can go ahead and harvest those. You can lay them out so they don't touch, and put them in a dry place somewhere, and then just let them finish drying out until the corn kernels are no longer pliable anymore. You kind of test that with your thumbnail.
See, Jessica was wanting to know about some ants in the grocery row garden.
Oh, she's probably asking David that. He's the grocery row expert.
Oh, was David on here?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Hey.
All right. So one of the other things that everybody should be planting in their victory gardens and their backyards to help get them through the hard times is beans,
Mm-hmm.
and then also put a slash to this one, peas. Be growing lots of peas and lots of beans. Those are two crops that, again, will sustain you through a shortage.
You drinking moonshine?
No, then I would be squealing. We ripped out several of our beds, cleaned them up from the onions, cleaned them up from the rutabagas, and we planted 2 beds of limas,
Mm-hmm.
a bed of pink-eyed purple hull peas, and then the 1 extra in corn. So that's what we've done right now. Now squash will be finishing up here soon because it's getting
And
hot.
you've got pumpkins.
Pumpkins are another really good one to grow. It didn't make my list because we don't do enough cooking with pumpkins.
Right.
But if you regularly enjoy eating winter squash or pumpkins, grow a bunch of those, put those up. That and the Seminole pumpkin and the Cherokee tan pumpkin on shelf in a good location up to a year. So that is perfect, a perfect food substance you can put up. So that's another thing that I wanted to mention is there's some criteria whenever I was going through and I was selecting all these foods to grow. They had to meet a certain list of criteria, and they had to be calorically dense. They have to have a lot of calories. They have to be able to you got to be able to store them for one, and then that's a big issue down here in the hot, humid South where we live, is being able to store foods for long periods of time. It's got to be high in nutrition so that you can sustain yourself on it. And then it's got to be easy to grow, and it's got to give a good yield. So those are some of the food criteria that I was using when I was going through this list to choose what to grow. But beans and peas, we actually had black-eyed peas tonight over a bed of rice.
Sausage and onions and bell pepper. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good stuff. But okay, now this next category, in the early spring, you should be growing potatoes. Potatoes right here, we generally plant around Valentine's Day. Those will grow for 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
So once it starts warming up and getting hot, Irish potatoes are coming out of the ground. So that's going to free up some land. Now, right behind Irish potatoes, you could do sweet potatoes and double the amount of root tubers that you're getting out of the ground. Potatoes will sustain you. Sweet potatoes will sustain you. And you can plant sweet potatoes right behind potatoes because they're not in the same family. So you're not at risk of getting the same diseases from those. So those are 2 things that you probably should be planting, one right behind the other, and then you can get a large yield out of the ground. We've been eating a lot more sweet potatoes lately, and I tell you what, I sure do enjoy sweet potatoes. I've often asked myself, I said, how come we don't eat more of this?
Right.
Because I love sweet potatoes.
Tay-Tay's growing her first potato on accident.
I grew some potatoes last year on accident too.
Mm-hmm.
Actually did a video on that. All the purple potatoes we planted this year were left over from our spring garden last year, the little bitty ones, and they started coming up. So we went through and we harvested those that had been growing throughout the summer, dug those up, and we had nice bigger potatoes. And then this spring, we just left them, just turn around and put them right back in the ground. We dug them up and put them right back in the ground in rows. They came up, and we have a whole entire bed of purple potatoes that we did not plan on having. So we had a good supply.
What about cabbage?
Cabbage is another really good one. Michelle can't tolerate a lot of cabbage.
Yeah, a lot. I can have a little bit.
And it bothers her stomach. So we have not grown very much cabbage through the years. But when we first moved here, we started our gardens. I planted an entire bed of cabbage, and then we would cut the cabbage up into steaks, and then we would freeze those in bags. And then Michelle would bake them and season them, and then we would do some stir fries with them or pan.
Yeah, I only baked them like once.
Okay, I remember doing that. Though.
Yeah, and then I got a sautéed recipe with onions and bell peppers and a little bit of garlic.
That's the way I like them.
Yeah.
I like them boiled too.
And they have no flavor when they're boiled.
Lots of salt and lots of black pepper.
No black pepper.
Miss Sweet Tater all the time. Jessica gets called Miss Sweet Tater all the time.
Oh, that's funny. because he's Tater and she's Sweet Tater.
And she's Sweet Tater. Two different animals.
That's cute. Okay, so what are some other really good ones? Cabbage, that was a good one. You
Yeah.
talk about broccoli and tomatoes.
We always grow lots of broccoli
Mhm.
that will get us from the spring season. I've said in past videos, because of the food shortage is coming, we are really going to increase the amount of
Right.
broccoli that we grow.
Mhm.
And I was actually at the beginning of the video telling them about the hybrid broccoli that we have out there that I'm letting go to seed. Develops
Oh, so fingers crossed.
that will produce good for us. And as a backup, I'm going to be ordering seed.
It was some great broccoli, just really tight, full heads, nice big heads, really tight. Yeah. The other stuff just did nothing. I mean, it was like
we didn't even harvest anything off of it. It was just crappy.
No, it was a joke compared to the other. It's like, why bother?
Jessica said to tell y'all that he is Sweet Tater.
I
am not calling him Sweet Tater.
Right.
So broccoli is one of the ones. Also was talking earlier about tomatoes as a lead-in for tonight, that our heirloom tomatoes, we probably planted over 10 plants, which is a lot more than we typically plant.
Right.
But in the past, we've planted like celebrity, and every one of our celebrities would load up, and we'd just have tons and tons of tomatoes. And then we'd can tomatoes, give tomatoes away, eat fresh tomatoes, let the worms have some tomatoes.
Right.
Chickens have tomatoes. Everybody just eat tomatoes. We had
had tomatoes just overload in the past. What's going on? Why is that we?
Well, heirlooms don't load up with tomatoes like the hybrids do.
Okay.
So we're growing these nice, big, rich tasting tomatoes that are, from 50 years old. And we get nice big tomatoes, but it's just a few. We get probably 10 tomatoes on a plant. But when you're growing an heirloom, you're going to get 50 up to 100 tomatoes to a plant. And
let's just stick to the
heirloom then. I think that's one of the things that we've learned this year is that, we can grow an heirloom for tomato sandwiches.
Right.
But we can't depend on it to can and provide food.
So it's the hybrid that we want then.
The hybrid. I ordered 3 varieties. I've ordered the Amelia. I've ordered there's some others that are good for the hot, humid summer here that do well. They're hybrid and highly disease resistant. That was the number one thing I was queuing in on whenever I was shopping for these seeds, was how many things are they resistant to? Because we battle disease in the middle of summer here.
We got someone out at Navarre Beach. He said vine borers are driving him crazy. Any suggestion on that?
Yes. High Yield makes a garden, pet, and livestock dust that is derived from the chrysanthemum plant. Permethrin is the name of the active ingredient. And I bought a duster off Amazon, and I put it in there. And from the onset that those things start vining, I just spray dust a little bit of that on the vine, and I haven't had any problem this year with vine borers. I've seen them, but I haven't had any problems with vine borers killing my plants.
I think ground pepper really wants you to put your hat on. And it says here they thought you were younger.
I am younger.
He said, put a hat on so we can recognize you. He's younger than I am. And then he said hat on again.
You want to go get my hat so I look right?
Okay.
Look right for the camera. Yeah, I have a battling rosacea, so when I'm outside, I always have to wear a hat to keep the sun off my face, especially with taking those medicines. I'm not supposed to be in the sun while taking those meds, so I probably do look a certain way with my hat. There, is that better? Thumbs up.
Okay. Oh, dang.
Isn't that also horsefly and insect spray? Yes, it's good for all of it. We put it in the cat's bed for the fleas and everything. We put it on the chickens to control mites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can even put them on ant beds.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on. Some of the other things to talk about. Now, the main staples I really want to discuss, let's go over the list real quick. It's corn, beans, and peas, potatoes, and then right behind potatoes, you could do sweet potatoes, tomatoes, broccoli. So some of the, and then we also discussed cabbage.
Someone said it sets off your blue eyes and that you look like Kenny Chesney.
Kenny Chesney, wow. I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
I don't have a house in the Caribbean, though. Some other things to consider would be carrots. We generally sow our carrots in the late fall here, and then they get up and they start growing. You know, we can harvest some of those through the winter because it doesn't freeze, and our dirt doesn't freeze here, and we grow our carrots in our raised beds and way up, and so we've had really good carrot grows in that sandy soil that we have in that one grazed bed that we have. We actually brought that sand in from 20 miles south of here, and when you get down into Florida, closer to the water, the topsoil gets a lot sandier down there. We brought some of that up, put that into one of our raised beds, and that's where we grow a lot of our carrots.
Yeah.
Right now, we're growing sweet potatoes in that bed for the same reasons. Sweet potatoes like warm dirt, and they like sandy soil. So we're trying sweet potatoes in those beds this year. So carrots, and we also discussed just have some chickens, and then harvest some eggs off of the scraps that you are feeding the chickens directly from your garden. So those are the ones that I had on my list. Put in the comments if you consider any other crops to be a staple.
Do you do any fruit trees?
Man, do we do
She
fruit
must
trees.
be new to our channel.
We need to do a fruit tree tour.
Do we do fruit trees?
Yes.
We have a lot of fruit trees, Nancy.
The very first fruit tree to go in our orchard was an apple tree that I had grafted 7 varieties onto.
Yeah.
And then we bought another tree. And then we bought another tree. And then we bought another apple tree.
That apple tree died.
One of them blew over.
The first apple that we planted.
The Smith of Mississippi. Yeah, but the root system started sending up another shoot.
Yeah.
So we grafted onto that shoot from the one apple tree that got blown over during the hurricane.
You need to check out our videos, Nancy. We've got plums out there right now. We've got apples out there, plums.
Just finished up pluots, just finished up nectarines.
We had nectarines. We've got peaches out there.
We'll probably have 10 variety of pear. We probably have 10, 15 variety of apple. And I've recently ordered apple rootstock, and we've held grafting classes. Jessica hosted us over at her house. Jessica Bracewell there in the comments.
Uh-oh, someone's talking your language down there with the figs.
I'm a fig guy.
Yeah.
But if you haven't checked out Jessica, she's got Keepers of the Old Ways, and she hosts some wonderful events. And she organizes one of the largest gatherings in our area, Keepers of the Old Ways gathering. And we had a phenomenal time.
We always enjoy Jessica.
Yeah.
And Tater.
So check those guys out and go to some of their events. Absolutely.
And then they get blown off. Where are you at, Nancy? For your fruit to get blown off.
We had a little bit of a windstorm the other day that blew a couple of our apples off. So we have a shell apple, Shell of Alabama, which was developed right here in Escambia County where we live. And those apples are starting to turn right now. It won't be long. We're going to have ripe apples off of our tree, whereas our Gala and Fuji apple trees are just
they're a
they're still
little late.
blooming.
They're late starters.
Yeah, they're just now blooming.
So Emerald Water Life Homestead, yeah, we love figs. Man, we've got so many different fig trees.
I probably have 40 variety of fig trees.
Yeah, and he's got fig pots with new fig trees growing. I mean, it's
yeah. We always go on a tour every year over to Louisiana.
Yeah, to a fig event.
And you can check him out. Cajun Bee, Brian is his name, and he has about 600 variety of figs.
If you look in our YouTube videos, we actually did a YouTube video with him, and you can see he's got like a fig farm, and you can see all the fig trees and the different varieties, and it was amazing.
He makes a living off of his fig trees.
Yeah. But we're buying property next to our house, so we're going to expand our fig orchard too as well. We're about to get hot and heavy on the figs, baby.
I've already got them in pots. They're busting out of the pots. They're ready to go in the ground.
That's right.
I've got some select qualities, some 10 out of 10s that are just can't wait to put those in the ground.
Yeah.
I have a brown turkey fig. Now let me tell you about my brown turkey. We moved here. There was a brown turkey fig, and that's probably been planted since the old lady first built this house that we bought back in '89. That's an old tree, and it loads up with figs every. That to me is the go-to if you want to put figs in the in jars, candied figs. It's just the old standby brown turkey or Celeste.
I'm not into the jarred figs, but I love to just walk over there and just pick figs fresh right off the trees. And this year we're going to start dehydrating them and try some dehydrated figs. I mean, they're just wonderful.
Yeah.
The darker the fig, the better. So.
And it's loaded this year. I gave it a little bit of fertilizer, and man, that brown turkey is loaded. Now, on top of that, my grandmother, which her old house, homestead, is just 1 mile from where we live.
We do make jelly with it.
And they have a brown turkey that's still there from whenever they first moved there. And that tree has been in the ground for over 70 years. And it's about 5 times the size of the big tree that I have out here in our yard.
Yeah.
It's huge. Just from diameter from one side to the other is 30 foot. And it's probably at least 15 to 20 foot tall. That's
you can get lost in that tree.
Yeah, fresh figs are the best.
They're the best. I love them.
I climbed up in that fig tree whenever I was a little kid with my cousins eating figs.
That's funny.
And I bet it's got trunks in there like that big around, just huge.
Tay said that her grandma in Georgia's got a huge fig tree and she's never tried them. You should try them. Yeah, whenever they start to hang down.
Yeah, and they start getting little wrinkles on them and cracks in the skin.
Some of them you can see a little honey dripping right out the bottom of them. It's perfect. They're nice and soft.
It's like eating a little ball of jam.
It's good.
Yeah. And I can't tell you what figs taste like because they taste just like nothing else.
That's right.
Just like a fig. Yeah. So if you haven't tried figs.
Sorry, we got off on a fig tangent.
No, I could talk about figs all night.
Yeah.
Yeah. We better shift gears.
I know. What else we've got on there on your list?
Try to get some more trees from cuttings. I bought a bunch of cuttings this year. I went on the figbid.com and ordered some fig cuttings off of there.
Yes.
Some high dollar ones, and I've got them growing. They took root. I've got a whole system out in my Florida room.
We had to buy a new refrigerator, so.
Just to hold all my sticks. Michelle got a new refrigerator in the house because I needed one outside that I could use.
Yeah. So we upgraded.
Yeah, we had to beat the birds. We had to beat the birds and we had to beat our chickens off of everything. And right now our chickens are eating our green grapes that are out there. I have a variety. It's a white variety. It's a wine grape called a Blanc de Beau. And they are just hanging in clusters, just big clusters of grapes hanging. The chickens are always out there jumping.
They look so cute.
So all the low-hanging clusters that are hanging on the lower limbs, they're all picked clean.
And the blackberries.
Yeah, they clean up all those blackberries. They sure do. New to homestead and gardening, how would I treat disease on vegetables? It really depends on what the disease is.
Right.
Some people will use a zinc spray that you can get right out of the bottle, like a copper fungicide. So if you can just look for a fungicide in the bottle, usually copper base is what people like to spray, and that's completely fine. Some people will even say that if you get powdery mildew on vegetables such as squash, you can spray them with milk, and then
Wow.
that'll cure it.
Milk.
Yeah, but mostly fungicides. Just go to your local big box store and pick up a fungicide right off the shelf.
Ellen has a squirrel problem. It sounds like she needs an outdoor cat.
Yeah, we have some tactical cats.
Yeah.
They team up.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like taking care of a human.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tay, if you are able to go to Jessica's class that she's going to be hosting, I believe it was with Miriam Farms.
Mm-hmm.
Is going to be doing that permaculture class.
I think it's Saturday.
I'd encourage everybody local to go to those classes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and those are some wonderful people, very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
You're going to pick up a lot of information if you go and attend that class.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And Jessica has Keepers of the Old
Keepers of the Old
Ways.
You can find them on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And Jessica, do you have a website? Is it Keepers of the Old Ways? I don't know if you had a website or not. And it's Blountstown, not Blountstown.
Yeah.
Brazil.
Mayhem
Hello.
Farms.
Mayhem Farms.
Mayhem
Yep,
Farms.
that's it. So there's a 15-second delay. So
Okay.
anytime we ask a question, you're gonna have to wait 15 seconds minimum for it to come back up.
Is she from Brazil?
Yeah, I think so, because
Oh.
she spelt it as if
Brazil.
she was from there.
Awesome. Welcome.
Yeah. Or he.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know how to pronounce that. I'm not even going to try.
Yeah, I don't know either. No website yet. Okay, but you can
Okay.
definitely find them on Facebook.
I don't know what. Okay. Bro, my garden is Blountstown too. Cool.
Michelle used to smoke a lot.
Yeah. Next. I need to work on protection from deer. One of them ate the growth right off my new lemon drop pepper plant.
Oh no. Lemon drop pepper is probably one of my favorite peppers. I had one last night for dinner.
He usually goes out and gets a pepper every night and has a pepper every night. I look over and his face is all red. And
now, let me clue you in on something. Lemon pepper was by far my favorite pepper until I found out about the Cane Star Lemon Starburst pepper. Mr. Cane crossed a lemon drop with a Bohemian goat pepper to come up with this.
A Bohemian goat?
A Bohemian goat, yes. And that is by far the best tasting pepper I've ever had. That's my favorite. I have 3 of those growing in one bucket. I grew them last year. I kept them in buckets. I brought them inside and harvested them all up. I've made pepper sauce out of those.
Yeah.
And they are now loaded back down with peppers again.
Yeah, we need to make some more pepper sauce, pepper jelly, lots of pepper stuff.
Yeah, peppers are good. I got like 30 varieties of peppers growing. Yeah. Yeah, deer is nothing that we have to battle with yet. If we start putting row gardens in the new property that we're looking at acquiring, we're going to have deer problems. We're going to have to fence up something to keep the deer out.
That's right.
And maybe get a livestock guardian dog.
Yeah.
Along with that.
2 of those.
Yeah, 2 of them. If anybody needs a livestock guardian dog and you're in the southern area, look up Hidden Oaks Homestead. They have a few livestock guardian dog puppies.
Precious little pups.
Puppies that are ready to go right now. We were over there the other day and
they were so cute.
Yeah, I think they're out of town right now. I think they left to go on a trip.
Yeah, but you can still message them and might be able to get somebody.
I think they said
they actually went on a trip to deliver a puppy.
Yeah,
in
but
Tennessee,
I think their ballpark
something.
is between $400 and $600 for their puppies.
Right, but that may not include like gas or something. If it depends on where it is, that's why you just need to reach out to them and see.
Yeah, if you're looking for a livestock guardian dog, hit them up.
So we'll have to share our pepper jelly recipe. Yes.
Oh, pepper
Yeah.
jelly, man. I love
Mhm.
pepper jelly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Now, if you want to talk about pepper sauce, the best pepper sauce I ever had in my entire life, I promise you, David the Good had one that he
It was his
smoked.
daughters, those Daisy's. Give Daisy the
Daisy,
credit
Daisy,
now.
if she's the one that made that pepper sauce,
Yeah.
that is by far the best pepper sauce I've ever
Yeah.
had. That is wonderful. I eat it
Yeah.
with all my tacos.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I've tried to recreate it. It didn't work. I'm gonna try again to recreate it.
Yeah.
I would ask David what peppers he used, but I guess he's dropped out. I'll have to shoot him up
Mhm.
on an email or something and see what peppers he actually used. I think it was probably habaneros.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, peppers are good. They're a must for the blood circulation. They are probably the most holistic thing that you can eat.
Mhm.
I've heard that cayenne peppers is the most holistic vegetable, very rich in vitamin C, fights inflammation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So Emerald Water Life Homesteads love David the Good.
Yeah, he was just in here a few minutes ago, but I guess he had probably gone. He's a very busy man.
Yeah.
Very busy.
Yeah, he's got 10 kids. Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Mhm. His wife is so nice. They're such wonderful people. Really, really good people.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, is there anything else on the list that we're?
No, that is it, guys. If you're not growing a victory garden in your little backyards in suburbia America, highly encourage you to think about it. It's not too late. Right now, you're able to plant something. Even right here where it's hot in the south, we can still plant okra. We can plant more corn, more sweet potatoes,
Mhm.
Peas, butter beans, any of those plants that love the heat, you can plant right now, even though the temperature is really starting to crank up. One other thing I did want to discuss, guys, is I looked all over high and low in our entire area for more um, rattlesnake green beans, and nobody has them. They can't be found. I asked two people, and they said that there was a supply shortage this year on rattlesnake green beans. I was going to go ahead and stock up for next year's. Now, we still have some vines growing. We've already picked 4 harvest off of, and I'm looking at them, and it looks like they're going to have another round of blooms. But I don't think I'm going to harvest them for green beans. I think I'm going to harvest them for seed. So make sure that we have some for another planting.
Right.
Now, we're probably going to do another planting this year. We've got to. We don't have enough green beans to get us through.
Well, everyone should be saving some seeds.
Yeah, there's a seed shortage.
Yeah. Everything you plant, just set aside some seeds each time because of the shortage.
Yeah. Good, Jessica. Those are by far my favorite green bean to plant. I looked through my seed supply stash last night, and I still have a little quarter-pound bag of some seed, but I need more. Same time next week. I hope so. I think yes.
I think he wants to make this a regular every Thursday
I enjoy
night
talking to you guys. I really do. I probably enjoy this more than making the videos themselves.
Right.
I love the interaction.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, Emerald Water Life Homestead. Thank you. And Jessica, that's awesome. Thank you. Carolyn, Nancy, and I don't know how to say, is it Ganesh? Ganesh?
Where at?
Up top.
Oh, Ganesh DePass.
Yep.
Put them on chicken wings. Absolutely. I think we're out of chicken wings, aren't we?
Yeah, we're out of chicken wings. We ate those like that quick. So enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
True Seeds are located in North Carolina. So True Seeds are located. Now I know that Rattlesnake beans online. You can order them. I've seen them for sale. So I pay $5 for a pound.
Right.
Whenever I can generally pay $3 for a pound of seed at my local seed supply stores here in the area. But I think what I do have is I'm going to keep harvesting for seeds. I like to have a supply of a pound or two to always fall back on. So now I'm going to start. Well, I think we're good on corn because all the corn we're growing right now, we're going to be grinding. We're going to be saving a good amount for seed. So we should have a good supply of seed stock just from what we have that is going to be ready to pick here soon.
Right.
The purple corn, the blue.
Yeah, I'm looking
blue.
forward to that. Blue corn. Mm-hmm.
So I was going to go ahead and buy some more bean seed, butter beans and peas and stuff like that. That way we have a few pounds. But everything that we're growing right now, I want to put in the fridge. But
you want a few pounds of bean seed?
Yes, because if we're saving up for a couple of years.
But you just got on to me for getting 75 cents worth
of squash. We've got enough squash to feed.
It wasn't squash. It was beans. It was like lima beans, or it was some kind of butter beans.
Oh.
It was butter beans from Jeff's.
Yeah.
I'd never bought beans before, and Randall was like, "Go buy Jeff's, the feed store, and I think they have some beans." So
she came home with English peas.
No, that was the day before, and I was like, "Well, can I get some beans?" And he's like, "Yeah, you can get a big old container full. How much you want?" And I said, "Well, how much is it?" And I think he said it was like a quarter scoop, and I was like, "Well, give me 3 scoops." And
no, that was the squash. That was the
squash.
They were
butter beans, baby. They were butter beans. Anyways, they were butter beans. I know, because I got the other things that weren't butter beans, and you're like, "Well, go buy Jeff's."
Well, remember.
Oh no! Wait a minute. It was zucchini.
Yes, it was.
It was zucchini. That's right.
That's why I'm saying squash.
Sorry.
That's okay. But we went to Jeff's here in Flemington the other day to go get butter bean seed, and while I was there, Jeff normally has these big bins full of corn seed of different varieties. He didn't have a seed kernel one in any of his corn.
So how long is that zucchini going to last us?
Zucchini's good for about 3 years, and if you keep it in the freezer, you probably keep a little bit longer than that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that amount of zucchini would feed Ethiopia.
Oh. I got plenty of that then.
The book Seed to Seed is a great source to learn how to save seeds and all the different. That's a great resource. Thank you, Carolyn.
I think it's time to.
You think it's time to wrap it up?
Yeah.
I'm having fun.
I know.
Well, I guess it's time to take a shower and go to bed.
Yeah. Then. Zucchini bread time. Yes, I agree. Yep. Mhm.
All right, Jessica. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, Southern Seed Savers. I've been all over that website.
Mm-hmm.
Here recently, just all the different butter beans varieties out there that I might be missing out on. Jessica's
gonna get her address. Same time next week.
All right, guys. We enjoyed hanging out with you. We enjoyed the feedback and the discussions, and I'm glad everybody could join. Indonesia, look at that.
Oh.
Well, sorry we missed you. You can catch us on the rewind. We're going to be here this time next week also, so join in if you missed us.
Yeah, good morning. It's morning time for them.
Wow.
Wow.
The sun's just barely going down over here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I have to get up early next time. We'll see you, Indonesia. We'll see you next week at this time. Yeah, well, like 53 minutes before this time.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for
bye, guys.
Thanks for participating. We'll talk to you later, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.